In today's show, it's time to power rank the Western Conference into tiers and preview a challenging week on the road for the Trailblazers. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're talking Western Conference tiers. We're talking a Blazers week on the road that's actually going to include a trip back here and then heading back out on the road again thanks to the in-season tournament rescheduling stuff. And then I want to talk clutch stats. The Blazers have been really good on offense in the clutch. Denny Avdia has been really good on offense in the clutch. And their path to win games is playing games that are close. And I will lean into a little a clutch stat dump for you to talk about the Blazers' path forward if they're going to continue to be a competitive team, and so far that they mostly have been, particularly in the play-in era when finishing 10th earns you a postseason game. Let's get into it. Start with tiers. I used to do Western Conference tiers all the time. It's my version of power rankings. I don't really love just like straight numbers, but I like grouping teams by tiers, right? Because I think there is it is better to think about this team as kind of in this area versus like, oh, this team is 6 and this team is 7. To me, that seems to be more logical, but I had avoided doing this the last couple of years because the Blazers stunk, and it's like, yeah, and here the Blazers are in the bottom tier. They're not any good. Just an exercise that wasn't rewarding for you, dear listener, but now the Blazers are a little more competitive, and it is worthwhile to think about sort of where they stack up in a Western Conference that has some really bad teams at the bottom, but is pretty solid at the top, with this middle that the Blazers kind of can sneak into, I think. So we'll run through that and then in this first segment. I'm going to go top to bottom because I think it just makes more sense. Maybe next time we'll do this, we'll go the other direction. At the top of the tier 1 by themselves is Oklahoma City. This is the best team in the league. At this point, I'm recording this on December 1st. You're listening to Tuesday, December 2nd's program. As of the 1st of December, the Thunder are better than every other team by a fair enough margin that if they didn't win the NBA title for a second consecutive season, it would be a surprise. Not that I don't think any of the other teams in the West can beat them, but I just think they are enough better than everyone else that they would be like significant favorites in every game, and they're going to have home court advantage, and or in every series, that is, not every game. Every series, they'd be enough of a favorite that you'd feel comfortable saying that team's, they're going to win. If you have to beat them 4 times, they're going to win. I think they're better than they were last season. I think they're just straight up a better basketball team than they were last season. They won the championship. They did not have a super, super duper easy road through the playoffs, to be sure. I think they're a better basketball team this year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is having a better season than he did a year ago. He's been awesome. They're awesome. They're so deep. In a class by themselves. Tier 2 in the West, Houston and Denver. Either of these teams could win the championship. I wouldn't pick them. In fact, you may have just heard that I think OKC is going to be a strong favorite throughout the postseason, at least now in December. I feel that way. But Houston is good enough, although they lost this evening. I just finished watching their game. Houston is good enough to win a title. They have the formula. Denver has to get healthy. They're still, even if they're a little deeper than last year, they're still thin, and just like without Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown, they just get exposed. Shout out to Spencer Jones, two-way ace, but they were too thin last year to win a title, but they were very good. Same thing. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. When you have that, you can win. Houston is good enough on defense, and they've been awesome on offense this year. So yeah, they're a good enough basketball team to win the championship. Those two are those are tier 2 in the West. Tier 3, I've got 3 teams: the Los Angeles Lakers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Phoenix Suns. I was not team I was most wrong about this year is Phoenix. I thought Phoenix was like on the same level as Portland, if not a little bit worse. But I thought they were kind of in the same spot. They're not. They're good. They're just good. For all of Dylan Brooks's weirdness and his occasional, like, I will call it intriguing shot selection on offense, he is just such a good tone setter. He is such a good culture setter. Like, they don't BS. They play hard, and he is the guy who's got them to do that. Like, they're a real testament to fit over talent. Like, you know, you lose Kevin Durant. I guess getting like rid of the curse of Brad Beal has been good for them and bad for the Clippers. Wizards, I guess, haven't recovered from the curse of Brad Beal, but like it just like they have less talent on paper, and they're a better basketball team, so it just makes more sense. And I think Dylan Brooks has been just a great tone setter for them, and Devin Booker is awesome. And they probably got a coach that kind of fits the whole with Jordan Ott, that fits the sort of the plan, or has got them to buy into the plan, I should say. That's the Lakers, Minnesota, and Phoenix. That's tier 3. The Lakers are good. They're good. They're getting shellacked as I'm recording this. They're down 17 to the Suns. As I look over at my other screen, yeah, they're getting shellacked. So maybe they come back and win. But like the Lakers are good. Minnesota is probably better than their record, but they've had a couple stinker losses this year, and I just. You know, they've kind of done this each of the last 2 seasons, but last year was like a big trade. The year before, they had some injuries and stuff. They've started slow a couple times and still ended up like making the freaking conference finals. So maybe they'll get there, but I think Minnesota, who I thought would be a tier above these 2 teams, the Lakers and Phoenix, if not several tiers, they're in this group. LA, Minnesota, Phoenix. The next tier, Golden State and San Antonio. Golden State's hanging on by a thread here. This is maybe just respect for Steph Curry than it is like appreciation of Golden State. They're old. They look old. And the young players haven't taken the necessary steps forward for them to be really good with a young group. Nobody, not Pods, not Kuminga, not Moody. None of their young players have kind of pushed them forward. The Spurs are good. They're just a good basketball team. Golden State is barely in this tier. In fact, when I do this again in 2 weeks, I will be surprised if Golden State hangs on here and San Antonio doesn't just climb up into the tier above them. Right below Golden State and San Antonio, I got 3 teams: Memphis, Portland, and Dallas. Before you get too far into it, I know that Dallas kind of sucks. But I watched a little bit of their game tonight. I had my League Pass multi-view going, but their game was the game on mute, so I didn't listen to it with any sound. I was watching the Nuggets instead. But like with Anthony Davis, Dallas isn't awful. They're not very good, but if AD is healthy, I cannot put them in a tier much lower. Like, you know, the Mavs beat the Blazers in a pretty brutal game for Portland, and I don't think the head-to-head is really informing me very much. But like, if AD is healthy, Dallas belongs in this group. They've been good on defense this year, and he's good despite his lack of availability. Portland and Memphis, like they've won 3 in a row. They looked like they were much worse and kind of headed for like truly bad vibes, but they got a little healthier. Zach Edey's back. He had a monster game the other night. 30 and 5 blocks in under 35 minutes, or under 30 minutes, I believe. Like, they're healthier. They're just like a much more competent basketball team. I think this is where the Blazers belong. They're capable of jumping up and beating the teams ahead of them. They're straight up better than the teams below them. I think they're right in this sort of tier with Memphis and Dallas. Portland is more likely, I would say, in my estimation, to climb in this ranking than to fall. The next tier, all by themselves, the what the heck is this even franchise, is the Clippers. Just a mess, an absolute mess. I kind of don't think the Clippers are going to pull out of this tailspin. I think they're just going to like give an unprotected pick to the Thunder and like ruin everyone's day. I just think they're right now watching them. I do not think this is a recoverable mess. Maybe, I thought they were, they won 50 games last year. I thought they were like that level again. I thought they were going to win 48 or 49 games again. They're not. They were the number 2 defense in the league last year. They're not that. They're bad. The Clippers are bad. The only reason I'm probably not putting them in the bottom tiers because of name recognition. They will not get the benefit of the doubt in our second round of tiers coming in a couple of weeks. And then the final tier in the West: Kings, Jazz, Pelicans. I don't think there's anything controversial about those group teams at the bottom. Pelicans are not good. Jazz are not good. The Kings are awful. I think the Jazz are the best of those three teams, and they're not good. Yeah, we'll see what the Kings do. They're the team most likely to try to trade players, but here's the thing about trading bad players on big contracts. It ain't easy. You have to find a team like the Kings to take on your Zach LaVine problem. Ask the Bulls. Unfortunately, the Kings are the Kings. They cannot find another Kings to take on their Zach LaVine problem. That's your Western Conference tiers. OKC by themselves. Houston and Denver in 2. Lakers, Minnesota, Phoenix in 3. Golden State, San Antonio 4. Memphis, Portland, Dallas in that 5th tier. 6 by themselves, the LA Clippers. And the final tier, Kings, Jazz, Pelicans. Or I guess because I was doing cities: Sacramento, Utah, New Orleans. Let's talk road trip. Blazers heading out on the road for a week. Then they'll probably come back and then head back out on the road again. What a weird schedule. Join me in that second segment. We'll talk about a challenging week that should kind of, put the Blazers, give the Blazers an opportunity to impress or kind of end up maybe being the nadir of their early season. We'll do that in the second segment. Join me there. First, though, let's talk FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. NFL Mondays move fast. The Monday night game moved pretty quickly. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different when you're watching the NFL. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel an exciting layer, an exciting new way to watch the game. You're not just watching the game. You get to react in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. If you miss kickoff of the game, or you just aren't, in a wagering mood when the game starts, well, when you're watching the game on the couch, a receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, or there's a momentum play that, flips, the momentum flips after a turnover, a turnover play that flips the momentum. Well, FanDuel lets you jump in on all of that, so you can bet live spreads and money lines, player props that update throughout the game. You can bet next touchdown scorer, drive results, totals, and more. It'll if you're watching the game, it adds another layer to your viewing experience. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right. Blazers heading out on a road trip. I would assume they are already in the Great North, just south of here in Portland. Shout out to Longitude Lines, to play the Toronto Raptors. Another surprising team. If I'd done East tiers, they would have been they're my Phoenix of the East. I thought Toronto's roster didn't make any sense, and that team stinks. And yet they're 14-7. They've got the 6th best defense in basketball as I'm recording this. It's a good team. No RJ Barrett, but Brandon Ingram has been good. They get enough with their weird length. Jakob Poeltl's been good. Colin Murray-Boyles, in the little bit of I watched, I like the way he plays, the rookie from South Carolina. Toronto's going to test the Blazers. That's Tuesday. Then a back-to-back. Leave Toronto, land in Cleveland, go through customs, get in really late at night, and play the Cavs on Wednesday. I think I've done this exact trip at some point with the Blazers. I think I did it in reverse. I think I went Cleveland to Toronto on a back-to-back. It's a lot. And I'm not flying a private jet. It was hard for me. But it's the overnight is just that landing and getting back and getting through customs. Even if it's expedited because you're famous folks, that's a late night. And the Cavs, who have not been as dominant as they were a year ago, right? They're not that quite. They're not that. But they're still good. Really, they've just had a lot of injuries this year. I think that's been one of their challenges. Jared Allen's not going to play in this game. Max Strus is yet to play. They've missed Darius Garland at various points. They're they're still talented. They've just had a bunch of injuries, and they were so dominant in the last 2 regular seasons. And I think most folks thought they would roll through, if they were healthy, roll through the East again in the kind of a down year. And instead, they're 13-9. But like their indicators, if they could get healthy, they're like right on the cusp of being an excellent team. They're 10th on offense and 11th on defense. If you're top 10 on both sides of the ball, you're good. Like, and they're right there with all the injuries. Donovan Mitchell's still a beast. Like, that's a tough back-to-back. Toronto, Cleveland is a tough back-to-back. Those are 2 very good teams. And then Friday against the freaking East leading Pistons, the 17-4 Pistons, owners of the 3rd best defense in the league. They rock. They figured it out. I think Isaiah Stewart has somehow become like one of the best defensive centers in the league. I believe he had 5 blocks this evening on Monday night's game. Like, he's really good. Jalen Duren has taken a huge step as a defensive player. He was always like a good lob threat kind of guy and had some like interesting passing stuff, but they just play really hard, and he's part of them playing really hard. And then like they have Cade Cunningham, and he's awesome. And he's just like, he's such a good maestro as a playmaker and as a scorer. And like, they when they didn't have Duncan Robinson in this evening's game, and like they can get a little light on shooting, but they play hard. Like I said, that is a team that plays hard. They're fun to watch because they play so they're scrappy. And they have a sort of the superstar offensive player. And like, if they have the right health-wise shooting availability, is basically like, if they could get Ivy to get in the game, and when Duncan Robinson is healthy, like enough shooting to surround the pick and roll threat of Duren and Cunningham, and they just like Cunningham just like throws lobs and Duren dugs them down. Like they're good. That's a good team. I don't think they would be this good, but I was a believer in the Pistons this year. I wasn't as wrong about them as I was about Phoenix and Toronto. So that's like 3 of the best teams in the East as they roll through, and it's 3 games in 4 nights. Toronto, Cleveland, then Detroit. Sunday, the Blazers wrap up the trip in Memphis. Memphis started out pretty rough this year. They obviously have bad vibes because Ja Morant is kind of he just seems like a really terrible coworker. Like, I'm going to use a bad word, but like to use a technical term, he just kind of seems like a wiener. Like he's just like doesn't seem like a cool hang like at all. Just like not a fun hang in any way. And at the beginning of his career, he seems like the most fun hang. He's just like become incredibly, just kind of like seems like a miserable dude over the last few years. Stinks. But like, they've kind of shaken off the Ja Morant stink to be pretty good again. They've won 3 in a row. They're 9-12. I think like just getting a little bit healthier, getting Zach Edey back and being able to play that big lineup with Jaren Jackson at the 4 and Edey at the 5. For some stretches, Vince Williams Jr. has all these weird games where he has like 15 assists and 4 points. They've kind of figuring out where to get playmaking from that isn't Ja or Scottie Pippen Jr. And listen, Cedric Howard's balling. I gotta say it. It's sad. I did a draft show, at some point in the summer, and I was like, who do Blazer fans want to draft? Let me know. Like, put it out on social media, and everyone was like, Cedric Howard. And now, like, obviously on draft night, he was the Blazers and Grizzlies swap picks. So Coward puts on a technically drafted by the Blazers but they traded picks. So like, yeah, it's he's hooping. He's good. Like, he's a good basketball player. He would be helpful on any NBA team. And he wears number 23, which is really funny. I love when rookies wear 23. I love when anyone in the league wears 23. It's the funniest number on any team to track. What player on your roster wears number 23? It's 100% always like, okay. Donovan McClingan, huh? Cool. Cedric Howard, huh? Cool. Yeah. So I think the Grizzlies game is a really good test to kind of see, based on the tiers that I just did in the prior segments, like, let's see where the Blazers are, because they've been coming off a brutal Eastern Conference swing. Toronto, Cleveland, and Detroit. And then like to end a road trip with a team that, maybe you thought like, oh, okay, they're kind of no good, but like fast forward, they're playing a lot better. Assuming that the Grizzlies stay like similar health to where they are now, that's not an easy game at all in Memphis on Sunday. So because of this is a tough test. Like this is just like looking the week ahead. I think I mentioned it could be like the nadir of the Blazers season. I do kind of think before they get healthy, like before Drew gets back and Matisse gets back, and again, like it doesn't sound like Drew Holiday's super duper close. It sounds like he's, as of last we heard, or on Saturday, he's just still not doing anything, like no contact yet, not particularly close, but he could come back. This coming Friday would be the 2-week mark, and he was given a 1 to 2 week reevaluation. So there's a chance he's back, maybe at the end of this road trip. But if he's not, if we assume he's going to miss this whole 4-game swing, just like these are good basketball teams on the road, and the Blazers were pretty bad on their last road trip, and injuries and playing away from home. I think this could be the sort of a dark part of the Blazers season. I don't think even a 0-4 swing on this trip really is going to put the Blazers like out of the mix. They're in the mix for the play-in. There's too many bad teams at the bottom of the West to worry about the Blazers' position. And there's a chance that Dallas might blow it up. So it's like they might get worse at some point. I'm not worried about the Blazers' like overall outcome. If you thought they're going to finish 9th or 10th in the West, nothing that happens this week in December is going to be 9th or 10th in the West. But it is going to, I think this could be before there's an upswing and before they get healthy again. I think this could be a challenging week. But whenever you I think one of the fun parts about the NBA is whenever you kind of get out in front over your skis a little bit and say like, yeah, this is a brutal week. Like the Blazers are going to go 3-1 or something, right? They're going to really stun and they're going to have some impressive wins. These are tough tests, good challenges for a team that is still kind of figuring out who they are, but also part of not having this sort of who they are identity is just like they're not healthy enough, and it's like Denny and someone else on any given night, and I think that's where they're at. Speaking of this road trip, it doesn't really it's going to end Sunday. They're going to play the Grizzlies on Sunday. They're a stayover team, so they'll fly back Monday night to Portland, and then they'll probably hang out Tuesday and leave late Wednesday to fly to New Orleans for a one-off. They'll be in New Orleans on Thursday and Friday, and then come or on Thursday into Friday, come back Friday, and then they play Golden State on Sunday in Portland. It is it's a weird stretch. A weird stretch brought to you by the NBA in-season tournament. This week is kind of penciled in. You either get a Thursday or Friday game, a Saturday or Sunday game, or excuse me, a Sunday or Monday game, and these games are doled out because of the way the in-season tournament works. You are playing a team. If you don't advance, you're going to get a game against a team that is not in your division. And in the Western Conference, you're going to get a non-divisional opponent from the West because that's sort of the balance of the way that's like where the holes in the schedule are. So the Blazers are like playing a weird number of games in New Orleans. They're getting the Warriors again another, a third time this season before the middle of December. So like it is a little bit weird, and you get this like long where you don't play a home game for basically 2 weeks, but the team will be home for like a day and a half in the middle of it, and they might even host like a public practice during that time. So a little bit of a weird stretch. New Orleans on Thursday, that's a bad basketball team. You need to win that game, even if it's a one-off on the road. Okay, let's talk clutch stats. We will do that because the Blazers have some interesting clutch numbers to know. Join me in that third segment. We will do just that. First, though, let's talk prize picks. This holiday season is one of the best times for sports. You got bowl games. You got big basketball matchups. You got playoff pushes. It's all happening all at once. And while you're out there making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make choices, to make the right call, is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including the great state of Oregon. PrizePicks is a way to add a layer of excitement to your holiday sports schedule. Creating lineups takes, less than 60 seconds. It takes me a little longer than that, but if you're quick, you can do it in less than 60 seconds. The app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. Plus, they got this new feature called Stacks, so it lets you choose the same player 3 times in one lineup. So you could say, I'll go more on Deni Avdia's points, I'll go more on Deni Avdia's assists, I'll go more on Deni Avdia's rebounds, and you can build a lineup with 3 Deni Avdias. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even have to win. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Still a pass, first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You still listen to Locked On Blazers. The Portland Trail Blazers have played a ton of clutch games this year. 12 of their 20 games so far this season have been within 5 points in the final 5 minutes, as the NBA defines as clutch time. Portland is 5-7 in those games, meaning 5 of their 8 wins have come in these games that have been decided close, within 5 in the final 5 minutes. They have, they've got 3 wins on the year where they've avoided this. Only one such win since in November that has avoided clutch time. They took care of business against a bad Milwaukee Bucks team without Giannis Antetokounmpo. A shorthanded Bucks team they handled. Other than that, if they won games in November, those games were within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. Early in the season they got a couple big wins that were not that were not clutch, but this is who they've been. If they win games, they have, for the most part, over the last month, been very, very close. And I think that kind of speaks to this road trip a little bit. Like, I think all these games are hard. Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit, Memphis. Those are hard games. If they're going to win, they're going to win them because, they're probably not going to blow these teams out. If they win, pull out wins on the road, even if they go 3-1, as I've sort of anti-predicted, because I think this trip is hard, but I'm also an idiot, right? So if I think it's like, I'm going to go 1-3, it's like, I'm just going to be wrong. They're going to go 3-1. They're just going to prove me wrong. But like, if they're going to do that, the most, based on what we've seen for the last month of basketball now as we head into December, is like, if they're going to win games, these games are going to be, decided in the final 5 minutes. It's going to be decided by whether the Blazers can score when it matters. I think increasingly whether the Blazers can get stops when it matters. I am going to offer this caveat up front. I'm going to say some clutch stats. It is a very small sample within a quarter of the season. I don't think these numbers are particularly meaningful in terms of being predictive, but I do think they are true at the moment. That's what I can give you. They're not predictive. I don't think they're particularly meaningful moving forward, but I think this is true up to this point. So that's what these numbers are. The Blazers are 6th in clutch offense. 6th. They're the 6th best offense when games are close in the final 5 minutes. They're 25th in defense. Basically, they're a top 6 offense when it matters and a bottom 6 defense when it matters. Yikes. I think that's kind of been the stunning part about this season, is that I thought they were going to struggle a lot to score and really, really struggle to score in the half court, and particularly in close games. That's where it is. Although the Blazers do play fast. They're one of the faster teams, even in these clutch games. They keep their pace. They do a good job of that. But I thought they were going to be a good defensive team. They just haven't been. And like, even with the injuries in clutch time, you're putting your best crew on the floor. You're not losing because like Caleb Love or whatever is like playing too many third quarter minutes in the clutch. Like, that's already happened. You can put your best 5 out there and try to go win the game. Obviously, the Blazers have been shorthanded, and sometimes their best 5, very specifically, has included Caleb Love. With all due respect to my guy, Tiger Legend, but I've just been really surprised at the level of their defense. But I think I'm equally surprised, just looking at these numbers, at how good the offense has been. They're the 2nd best team in terms of true shooting percentage in the clutch. The only one team has better true shooting percentage in the league in these close moments. That's the San Antonio Spurs. That is backed by Deni Avdia absolutely hooping in the clutch. Among players that have taken at least 15 attempts in the final 5 minutes of games when the score is within 5 points during clutch time in the NBA, Deni Avdia has the 4th best true shooting percentage of anyone in the league. Ann Edwards is first. Ryan Rollins, legend in Cream City in Milwaukee, is second. Cooper Flagg, stunningly, is third. Cooper Flagg has a ton of volume, right? The Mavs have played 22 games this year. 16 of them have been quote unquote clutch games within final 5 minutes. That's kind of why I think they're better than they've been, because they just they've lost some winnable games, or at least they've been in a bunch of games. And Flagg is just he's there. He gets the rock when it matters, and he did against the Blazers as well in their meeting. But Deni Avdia's true shooting percentage is leading the league at 75.5 true shooting percentage. That is field goal percentage that includes the value of threes and free throws. Getting to the line and making your free throws matters, and obviously the volume there. But Deni is at 69.2%. He's been nice in the clutch. His ability to score, his ability to get fouled in half-court situations, even this year, I think that's the most impressive part of his game, is everybody knows what Deni wants to do, and they still can't stop him because of his power and because of the shooting has kind of changed how you have to guard him on the perimeter. You can't go way under. And if you crowd Deni, he's so strong and so quick at his size that he's been able to get where he wants to go. He's done such a good job this year of getting to his spots. And I think these clutch numbers really speak to that. So if the Blazers are going to win, they're going to play these close games on this road trip: Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit, and Memphis. I think the thing I'm going to be watching is down the stretch of these games, can they get stops? Not can they score. I think they've proven that they have the ability to score late in games. This year, stunningly enough, the reason why they have struggled is because their defense isn't very good. And particularly when these games have been close, when it has been time to win, it isn't because the offense has fizzled and the lack of shot making and all these things. The Blazers, again, second in the league in true shooting percentage in the clutch. They've made shots, they've got to the free throw line and made free throws. They just can't stop anyone. And I think that, for me, is the thing I'm going to be watching this week. When the games are close, not if, because they're going to be close. When the games are close, do they get stops? And what does that look like? Come back for more shows the rest of the week. Raptors on Tuesday, we'll talk about that one in Wednesday's program. Cavs on Wednesday, we'll talk about that one on Thursday's program. And we'll do one Friday as well. So what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.